watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Not. Oh, Lord, I needed you, baby.
This is Eurasian milfoil, and as you can see, we're out here in the middle of the lake in Minnesota at the Bassmaster Top 100 on Lake Minnetonka. We're going to teach you in this show a little bit about how to fish this type of cover and how to find it out here in the middle of the lake, what to look for, and how to catch fish out of it. Stay tuned.
Lake Minnetonka, a 15,000-acre water world on the outskirts of the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Population 3 million plus. Doesn't sound like a place the southern-based Bass Angler Sportsman Society's tournament trail would end up, much less make camp and fish a 4-day tournament with the country's top 100 pros and amateur partners being happy campers to boot. Minnetonka is actually a complex of sort, a series of lakes, embayments, and bays, joined by man-made canals. Water sports and recreational use are heavy, and the lakes are ringed with some of the most expensive real estate in the North Country. But a bass is a bass wherever you fish for it.
By any yardstick, Minnetonka, the Sioux Indian word meaning great water, is an amazing bass fishery. Consider the box score in the Minnesota Top 100. The top weight, 79 pounds, 3 ounces. The average in a 5-bass creel, almost 4 pounds. 5 bass limits, 355 by 111 pros for an almost 80% success ratio. Big bass honors, a 6-pound, 6-ounce largemouth. Mind-boggling for a fishery that's icebound for half the year. The answer, obviously, the abundance of aquatic vegetation, Eurasian milfoil, that flourishes in late June to September, then dies back with a hard northern winter. No secret here. Where there's grass, you'll find bass. But how to fish it is something else. Our Bassmasters camera teams will be right alongside the leaders.
This is classic textbook structure fishing. Peter T. has located the edge of a grass line. Here's what he's doing.
How to read a flasher depth finder to pinpoint the hard bottom and the grass is a key to finding the most productive spots. You'll learn why. And why Jim Bitter fishes a Carolina rigged soft plastic lizard with a smaller 1/2 ounce weight is worth remembering. Also, you'll discover the newest big bass lure in world champion David Fritz's tackle box. Yes, the Fritz Blitz hits the North Country.
God almighty, that's what I'm doing.
I'm Bob Cobb. Stay tuned. The Bassmasters are coming right back with a textbook study on how to catch bass in the grass.
Lake Minnetonka, the Bassmaster Minnesota Top 100. Late August, the tail end of summer, but the beginning for professional bass anglers with an eye on qualifying for the 1996 Bassmasters Classic World Championship. Yesterday, rookie Top 100 pro Ken McIntosh of Leesburg, Indiana, weighed in a 5-bass limit and 22 pounds, 6 ounces to set the stage for this $273,000 fish-off. He leads Jim Bitter in second place by almost a pound. Behind Ken and Jim, the likes of Peter Tilaveros, Mike Terry, and Rob Kilby, all with over 17 pounds. Followed by former Classic champ David Fritz, plus Gerald Savage and 9-time Angler of the Year Roland Martin. There's a key to catching the bigger bass, as Rick Pelletier, a BASS Federation Wrangler angler and 1995 Classic qualifier, explains.
Glacier lakes, and there's rock piles all throughout this lake underneath the milfoil, and that's what these fish relate to.
Tennessee pro Mike Terry is onto this
I've
pattern.
been keying in on these little hard spots that's out in front of these grass beds. There's a big place, you get out there about 13, 14 foot, where there's a lot of rocks and stuff. And that's basically what I've been keying on. I use a flasher, and it'll give you a double signal when you come over these type of spots, and that's basically, that's how I find them.
You can see us getting double echo. That tells me right there I've got a hard bottom.
Peter Tilaveros is fishing a bay within sight of the weigh-in area.
This pattern that Peter T is fishing is classic textbook structure fishing. He's found the edge of a grass line adjacent to a clean point. He's marked that spot with a marker buoy, and here's how he's fishing it.
And one of the things that's key with the Carolina rig when I'm fishing with me is knowing the depth of the water I just threw into. So I'll always count. I'll start counting 1,001, 1,002, 1,003 until the weight hits the bottom. That gives me a rough idea within a foot or two of how deep it is where my cast landed. Then I can look at my electronics and I can tell how deep the water is where I'm sitting, and I know that there's a slope between where I've thrown and where the boat's sitting, and that possibly is going to be where the fish are going to be.
Jim Bitter is parked in the middle of East Upper Bay, a high traffic area. There's a bass concentration here, too.
This is just a little short point coming out here. It's all covered with grass, and then the point kind of just tapers off into deep water, and it's bare out on the outside of the grass. I guess two things can be happening. The fish can be coming out and running the point out into deep water, or they can be doing just the reverse, coming out of deep water and running the point up into the grass. This is when a depth finder is a must. You gotta stay in deep enough water where you're not on top of the fish. They're in there in about 14 or 15 feet, and I'm staying out here in about 19 or 20.
Watch just how slowly Jim Bitter is working his Carolina rig. It's a major key to this pattern.
They don't want it fast. Some of my bigger fish have come on a 1-ounce Strike King spinnerbait, just throwing it out and leaving it sink all the way to the bottom, and then just crawling it along real slow. If you try to wind it a little bit too fast to where it comes 3 or 4 foot off the bottom, you won't get bit at all. And I think that's why the spinnerbait fishermen aren't really doing real good, because they're not slowing down and not running it deep enough.
As a rule, bigger bass in the Minnetonka chain are found in the more off-color water. That's one key to David Fritz's pattern. Bottom contour and depth are equally important.
You know, the fish are relating to a mixture, rocks and grass, or hard bottoms. It could be sand. And believe me, that stuff is hard to find. And basically what I'm trying to key in on is fine grass going to 10 foot deep, and then fishing on the outside edge of it. There's a big stringer to be caught right here. It's just a matter of being here when they want to bite, but I like them jam up spots where you put it in its every throat.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more tips and tactics for catching bass in the grass. But right now, here's Ray Scott with the Bassmaster Casting Kid of the Week.
Our Bassmaster Casting Kid of the Week is Channing Freeman of Bolton, North Carolina. He's 10 years old, in the 5th grade, and in his first try to make it to the National Casting Kids Finals at Greensboro, North Carolina. He's dead center on the target at flipping, pitching, and casting. Channing's not bad on the water. He landed a 7-pound largemouth bass and a trophy in anybody's bag. A big Bassmaster salute for Channing Freeman, my buddy from Bolton, North Carolina.